to try and do now to balance it is to get more goals or certainly more chances the other end. But this was always going to be a tough game. I felt this was always going to be tight. It doesn't matter how bad a run they've been on, or they've actually come into a little bit of form, in all honesty. They left it late against Newcastle, thought they were superb midweek against PSG. So this was a tougher game going into it now than it would have been 3 weeks ago, if you know what I mean. So I don't think either team did enough to win it. I think a draw was a fair result. And we go back to London and we go again with another clean sheet, 2 on the spin.
Pat, do you think Frank will be the happier of the two managers? Obviously going away to Old Trafford and coming away with something.
Probably just not a lot in it though. But certainly in the second half, I don't think we dominated the way we did in the first half. Probably to go back to the point you're making, I am gobsmacked at how good Thiago Silva is. I knew he was good, and we all did. But wow, he cruised through that game. His positioning is, I'm going to use a word here that we Chelsea fans use only on limited occasions. His positioning was Terry-esque. It was as good as JT. And that is saying something incredible because JT always seemed to be in the right position. He cruises along. His use of the ball is absolutely brilliant as well. But he knows when the big moments are. And Cavani came on and had that one little moment at the start, then never sniffed the ball again. So, and he just makes players around him look better as well. And there was a couple of times where Rashford was through on the left-hand side and he just came over. And then that block just at the last moment, when they went down the right-hand side, once again, absolutely magnificent. So, yeah, you need everybody. And I agree, yes, as a unit, we looked really good. And as a defensive unit, and we need to do that. I kind of hope he plays every game. A, great defender, but B, he just got to watch.
Jace, 2 clean sheets in a week, 2 different systems played. What do we do Wednesday? Do we play 5? Do we play 3? Or it can be a 5? Obviously, do we play 4? Or is it now going to be a case of Frank knows both of those can work, so it's kind of on a game-by-game basis?
This is a game we've got to go and win. It's as simple as that. You pick a formation and team to go and win this game. You always, of course, pick a team to go and win a game, but at the same time, I think you're very much aware of what the opposition can give us, the problems they can deliver us. One or both teams are going to drop points. The 2 that we're up against to finish in the top 2 positions. If we don't take all 3 points, that's a bad result, I think, for us. Not a good result. So I feel as though we can go there and win. I feel we need to go there and win. And whatever happens in the other game in the group happens, and it shouldn't worry and shouldn't concern us. But yeah, look, it's he has to pick a team to go and win. The formation wise is, I suppose, you can go for a 4-3-3 if you want to win the game in a way defensively. I don't think they're going to offer us that much defensively.
Zach, I'll come back to you in a second if you can grab some comments off of the fifth stand-up for us. Pat, just in terms of that as well, we spoke in the pre-match show about Edouard Mendy getting the number 1 jersey now. Frank saying he's his first choice goalkeeper now, and as Jason alluded to towards the end of the game, that save from Marcus Rashford, that proves exactly why he's the man to hold on to the gloves at the moment.
There was a great angle from behind the goal when he showed you it again for the second time, and honestly, he looks like a cat. It's amazing. He's down low. He's so alert. He's so ready to spring. And when he does spring, he is incredible. He just springs out left there and gets the save. He had the save in the first half for Rashford with his feet, which was a really big one because it doesn't matter what part of the body you use, you have to position yourself well, and he did that well. I mean, really, apart from that one slight questionable pass early on when he passed it back, to be honest, he's looked really, really good, really, really comfortable. There's a real confidence in him generally, even when he's got his foot in the ball. So, yeah, I think he's come into the team and he's wanting to add something. He's wanting to grab that number 1 position, isn't he? And when crosses are coming in, you can see him. He's itching to come out and get them. He's desperate. So far, his decision-making's been right. When he's come out, he's got them. And when he's not come out, he thought, no, don't take that chance. It's not worth the risk. So far, decision-making's been good. But shot stopping and saving, I don't think we'll have any concerns whatsoever about that.
No, very, very assured again today. Zach, yeah, what's the reaction been like on the fifth stand?
I think a lot of people kind of agree with us. Defensively, it was another really, really good performance. People giving a lot of shout outs to Mendy, saying he's been MVP, kind of saved that late one by Rashford, and also the one by Rashford with his foot in the first half. Again, really, really good. Maybe gave us a little bit of a scare of that pass, as Pat mentioned, but that was kind of it. Again, also Thiago Silva. Couple of people mentioning that maybe they kind of would like to have seen Kovacic come on, try and help a little bit in the midfield with the transition. But mainly it's about a very, very good defensive performance and hoping for a win in the Champions League on midweek.
Zach, I'm gonna ask you first, but because I'm gonna ask you very quickly because we've already mentioned this at half time. The penalty incident's frustrating, isn't it? Because it's one of those where we've seen so many things given, and we keep understanding that VAR's there to get wrong decisions correct, and supposedly the PGMOL, which is the referees governing body, have come out and said that VAR did look at it and they've agreed to go with the on-field decision of the referee. But I just this is what I mean. I'm struggling. Yeah,
like I understand to a point of, in football, jostling happens, right? Especially in a corner, jostling happens. Sometimes people try to get on each other's shoulders to try and win the header. That is understandable. But putting your arm around someone's head to I don't even know what advantage it gives you just to keep them down on the floor, it is ridiculous. Like I don't quite understand personally what's been seen there where it's gone, oh, you know what, that's fine. If I did that to anyone else on a pitch, even on a Sunday League pitch, it's what are you doing? That's a penalty.
Jay, you're a defender, and I know that we've had this conversation before about players potentially, as horrible as it sounds, players have to make a meal of it. Aspie did everything right in terms of alerting the referee to it. He can't do any more, Azpilicueta. No. So it's just, you look at decisions like that, and with the Jorginho one, for example, when he got the clip from Fernandes, if he rolls around on the floor like Lamela did 2 weeks ago, you probably argue Bruno Fernandes is walking. Aspie does everything right, and yet it's the players that they're probably asking the same questions as us. What else can they do?
Well, I suppose you could argue that maybe some of the players could have surrounded the referee. I was speaking earlier, in JT and Didier and Frank's Day and Ashley Cole's, they're around the referee. They're berate, get us give us that's a penalty. They're on to the referee, and maybe in the new era of VAR, maybe players necessarily don't feel as though they need to do that because the VAR decision is going to look at it. Someone's going to look at it. I think it's a penalty. I'm going to be biased, but it was more akin to something you'd see in a ring, and it looked like something they had in a chokehold more than anything else. I'm mystified. And when it went on, the longer it went on, I thought to myself, this is not, I could not believe it. So, look, VAR's looked at it. We've got to take the rough with the smooth sometimes, I suppose, but disappointed that it wasn't a penalty yet.
The equivalent of surrounding the referee in 2020, I think we're going to send Pat Nevin to Stockley Park for next weekend and just bang on the door when the decision not going our way, Pat. Just hammer away, see what they give you. But it does feel like that, Pat, doesn't it? It does feel that maybe it's not a position we want to be in because I feel that Chelsea are very good at just getting on with the game and not doing the dark arts of football, as it were. But perhaps it's something that we need to get better at. Is that a fair point or not?
Yeah, but you noticed that Aspie did the right things. He turned around, he had to go to the referee and he said, you've got to look at this. When the referee says we're going to look at it, there's not much more you can do. Because we're looking at it. It's not a VAR problem. That's human error again. There's a guy watching the VAR. That's just human error. Yeah. And I just asked the question, had it been Manchester United, would it have been a penalty kick? Had it been the other way around? And I think we all feel the same way.
Yep.
They'd have got a penalty kick.
Totally.
That's the upsetting thing, that we know that's that ridiculous. I've no concept or understanding. As I said before, the ball's played in. If he's nowhere near it, fair enough. You can understand the argument. But he's actually going to head the ball, and he's the one being dragged back.
Remarkable.
Nonsense. It should have been a penalty kick.
It's a tough one, but like you said, Jay, you got to take the rough with the smooth. And
we do. Yeah.
In terms of chances created, there wasn't too many. I think the one that I suppose the one that stands out, which wasn't really a chance, more of a half chance, but it was a beautifully whipped in cross from Reece James from the right hand side. I think it was Pulisic and Havertz at the far post just couldn't quite get her. Might even have got a flick off Harry Maguire, but that's exactly what you were saying before the game. That's what James is good at. That's what Chilwell gives you as well, and that'll have pleased Frank to see that. Obviously,
Absolutely.
Perhaps not enough, but yeah.
No, I thought James was excellent. I mean, they all played really well today. You know, every single one of them done their job and done it really, really well. When he gets in those areas, Reece, I mean, I was in the lucky position. I'm sat right here. That's the goal that you're talking about, that end there. And you could see the ball. And as it whipped across, you could see Pulisic's on the end of this. And Maguire, give him credit, he gets enough just for it to take it off his line. So I think that ball gets bundled in the back of the net if Pulisic, if that doesn't have that flip. But yeah, once that ball gets out wide areas, you know what he's going to do, Reece. There's just a couple of times I'd like to have been a little bit more ambitious with Luke Shaw in a 1v1. That's the one thing I will say. There was a couple of times here where he's decided to come back in. He's not the quickest lad in the world, Luke. And the time he did do it towards the end, we managed to get ourselves a corner. So I'd like to have seen him perhaps a bit more ambitious once he got 1v1.
Zach, I think the addition we've said about the options that Frank has got for the bench, the addition of Mason Mount and Tammy Abraham was quite clearly to give energy and to get players running. And straight away, that's what they both give you, don't they? They give you legs and they stretch the pitch a lot more by giving that energy. And I thought both of them, when they come on, done really well.
Yeah, I mean, they did their job, as you said, like very much energy. It looked like they were the quickest players on the pitch the second they came on. From the off, Tammy was pressing them down, and so was Mason. I think, a bit of credit has to go to United as well. I think both teams defended pretty well. Harry Maguire and Lindelof also looked pretty good. So it's just one of those games. And I guess it's kind of weird for us because for so long, for the past since Frank's been in charge, we've been used to games having so many goals in. So to see, I think that his last game was his first ever 0-0, and now that his second game after his second 0-0 ever. So maybe it's something we have to, as Jay's kind of said, we've got to kind of find the balance of being able to attack and also defend so well at the same time.
Pat, just on Hakim Ziyech, he came on obviously with 10 or 15 minutes to play. He's the kind of player that you want to get minutes into, and I suppose you look at Krasnodar in the week in the Champions League, that might be the perfect setting for him to start his first game. I
really hope he gets those minutes, and in good 90 minutes and 2 or 3 in a row would really help him, because we know we've all seen him. We've all watched him playing against Chelsea, and he has got serious quality there, and that's what we're looking for. When we've had 2 games in a row now where maybe the lack of creativity was the biggest question mark over the performances, everything else seems okay. Had you given chances to Timo Werner or Havertz or even Pulisic, they probably would have scored them. So we need somebody who's creating, and he is. Ziyech is the one that we expect it to come from. But he needs games, and remember, he's slightly behind the curve than everybody else. Everyone else has had quite a few more games than him. It's kind of hard to come behind that. People often say you need a good pre-season behind you. Well, he's missed pre-season and he's missed a bunch of games, so there's a lot catching up. So any Chelsea fans out there, come on, you must give him time. He needs time to make sure he's at the same level as them as fitness. And when you've got that, you're going to see how good he is. And he is real quality. And once again, we're saying about the delivery in our team. There's delivery everywhere in our team. We'd just like to get the ball in the last third often enough so that we can do it. Unfortunately, the last 2 games, that has been the problem, getting that ball in the last third without teams being like 10 or 11 players behind the ball.
Jace, just carrying on from that, really, you've mentioned earlier as well about trying to find that balance, and now we've got 2 clean sheets on the spin. I don't want to obviously count anything ahead of time or show any complacency, but you'd argue that a game like Krasnodar in the Champions League is a good opportunity to find that balance. A team that perhaps we should be able to nullify, but also a team that we should be able to create chances against.
Yeah, I mean, they're going to be more scared of us than we should be of them. Without being overconfident and without perhaps being a little bit complacent, as you mentioned now, I feel this is a game that we have to go and win. Yes, the balance has to be right, but this is a game where I feel we can take our game to them. Today and midweek against Sevilla, I think you've got to respect what the opposition have got. And I'm not to say we're not going to respect what Krasnodar have got, because they would have done their due diligence and known the players that we need to watch and the set pieces and so on and so forth. But if we're going to get out this group, this is a game that we've got to take maximum points from. We've been in the Champions League long enough to know that these are the whipping boys. These are the ones. And because they drew the last game with Rennes, that's now... They've split the points. So Rennes have dropped points against these boys. If Sevilla and Chelsea don't, the chances are we'll go up 1 and 2.
Well, that is all from us this evening. Thank you very much for joining us. Post-match reaction will be available on the Fifth Stand a little bit later on. You can see highlights of tonight's match on the Fifth Stand from around 9:30 this evening. Matchday Live will be back on Wednesday as Chelsea travel to Russia to face Krasnodar. It's the Champions League. It's the early kickoff as well, so we'll be on from around 4:45 building up to the game. And there's loads of other great videos and features on the app for you to enjoy, including Chelsea Unseen and Unseen Extra, which brings you exclusive behind-the-scenes footage from the training ground and match days. Thank you very much for joining us. 2-0 on the spin after 60 games without any. We couldn't have predicted that, but I do predict a European adventure in a week. Make sure you join us for it.